I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here as we get set for qualifying in preparation for race number 31, playoff race number 5 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Yes, you are looking currently at what is not Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the track that we were hyping up here even before the playoffs began. As I had stated, back when the announcement was made that track was going to be the final road course stop of the season, the testing that went into it, the passing on the racetrack and everything was absolutely amazing. One thing that was not looked into in terms of testing was the ability for green flag pit stops, and unfortunately, because that was something that caused a lot of issues, there were about 3 previous recordings that took place before the call to drop that race on the schedule. Unfortunately, that is actually going to not be our last road course stop. Our last road course stop would have been Chatham Dirt, near the beginning of the playoffs, and so, therefore, we are having to call an audible. We're having to change the venue here for this 5th playoff race, this middle race of the round of 12, and we are here at Hanford Speedway. You may have never heard of this racetrack before, and I'll be honest, up until about maybe a month ago, I had never heard of it myself. This is basically a little over 1.1 miles racetrack that is technically, if you took Pocono Raceway, the 2.5 mile triangle speedway, and condensed it down into a smaller racetrack, you would get Hanford. Hanford was the hosting track to a few IndyCar races back in the day, and it is a very complex racetrack. It should be a good one here for a playoff race. If all goes well, we may end up having it be a mainstay here on the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series playoff schedule. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about this particular racetrack as the weekend goes on, as it's just the Cup cars here this weekend. And it is the race leading up to next week's race at Arizona, where we will pretty much cut the starting playoff field in half. We had 17, now 12, soon to be 8. Now, some drivers come into this race in good situation points-wise after last week's event from Hillside. We're looking at one of the drivers that is not. That would be Keith Batson. Batson is currently the first driver out of the Elite 8, 9th in overall points, 2 points below the cut line. Finished outside of the top 20 last week at Hillside Raceway. He's within striking distance of the cut line, though, and so obviously looking this week to get himself above said cut line in preparation for the upcoming elimination race. A couple of other drivers that we'll be keeping an eye on during the course of this week would include Austin LaPlante, who finished multiple laps down, even though he was under power last week. And then 2 drivers, 2 of our playoff contenders that finished out of the race, Rob Evans and Dylan Poteet. Batson, LaPlante, Evans, and Poteet all below the cut line coming into this weekend's race from Hanford as we look at 3-time winner James Qualls. Quals eliminated from the playoffs after the first round. Got 2 rounds of qualifying here for the first round, or two groups, I should say, for the first round. Top 5 from each will move on to run for the pole in our Fast 10. Anthony McCurry and the Celsius Mazda. Right now 14th on the board for him. Cody Lamas in the 84. Cody with a great run last week at Hillside. Right now, though, 16th on the charts. Reese Banks in the 44. Co-points leader coming into this one, along with Matthew Rodriguez. The two of them tied for the current points lead. And they both currently sit a total of 18 points ahead of the 8th in the standings cut line. Reese Banks was second, now drops to third, 38.248 for the 44 car. Former champion Chris Dollerton. We know that this ride will be taken over by Zachary Fitzwater next year over at Blue Oval Automotive. Dollerton just trying to finish out the year as best he can in what is looking like potentially his final season of Duracell Cup Series competition. See if he has any improvement on the lap time here. He does. Goes from 19th to 17th, 38.704. Right behind him, the other half of the co-points leaders for the playoffs coming into this race. That being the 3-time winner, Matthew Rodriguez. Right now, 9th on the board for Matt Rod. Currently now 10th on the board as he just dropped down another spot. Rachel Collins is up to 2nd place. He's got his teammate, Michael Norman, a former winner from a couple of weeks ago at Chatham, right behind him. Looks like Norman's coming in to pit road for some adjustments here with a little more than 9 minutes remaining. No improvement there for Collins. I think you're probably going to want to get those lap times in the early going. This racetrack has a very slick surface. I feel like it's going to be very abrasive on the tires on the long run, which will make things interesting in terms of what type of passing we'll have in the early going of tomorrow afternoon's race and further into the run. Benjamin Miles right now 23rd on the board. That is the slowest of the drivers that have taken time currently. Rob Evans going to need a good run this week. Evans had a solid round of 17, easily made his way here into the round of 12, but after the DNF last week, the furthest finishing in the running order of the playoff contenders, he's got some work to do. Evans comes into this race currently a total of 16 points below the cut line. Of course, the regular season champion as well. Ooh, may have gotten the wall right there off of turn 1. And right now, Rob sits 11th on the speed charts as things are currently scored. Austin LaPlante, another driver below the cut line. He's 13th on the board at the moment, 38.427. He just ran that, his fastest lap of the session so far. Austin currently a total of 9 points. Correction, 11 points below the cut line of 8th in the standings. LaPlante's still looking for his first win on the season as well. He, along with Reese Banks and Keith Batson, are the only 3 non-winners on the season that are currently up inside of your remaining 12 playoff contenders. As you saw right there, LaPlante got the wall pretty good, as did Caleb Fogler, former champion, and they're both coming to pit road because of that. Looks like the slick conditions I was thinking were going to happen, they're already occurring. As we look at Jesse Turner in the 47. Jesse Turner 5th in the playoff points coming into this one. Currently a total of 10 points above the 8th of the standings cut line. 16th on the board right now on the speed charts, that is, for Turner. Looks like he's just come back out onto the racetrack after some adjustments on pit road. Cycle back there to Batson and Walls. There's Casey Hoyt, another playoff driver. All 3 of the Lake Effect Autosport Mustangs are still in the playoffs. Casey Hoyt right now 7th in overall playoff points, only 7 points to the good above the cut line. So Banks and Turner are looking good. Hoyt is right on the cusp. And he's on pit road right now, but I believe that is the final playoff contender there. Oh no, we got a couple of others we're going to talk about, but I think they're in the upcoming second session. But Dylan Poteet on pit road right now, 8th on the speed charts for the Castrol Edge Chevrolet. Poteet is currently the furthest down of the playoff contenders, 12th of the 12 playoff drivers, and a total of 17 points below the cut line. Ryan Brommer currently in line to move on to the final round of qualifying as he sits 4th at a 38.249. Michael Norman right now is the fastest in this session with his teammate Mitchell Collins right behind him. Reese Banks, Ryan Brommer, and Will Goss are currently the 5 drivers at the top of the standings. And at this point in time would move on to run for the pole position tomorrow afternoon. There is 5th place, Will Goss, making his way around the 25 of Benjamin Miles. 38.267 is what everybody's gunning for. That's below 5th to try and make their way into the second and final round of qualifying. Getting closer to the end of this season, a lot more announcements coming out from NNSCRA higher-ups. One of those announcements being that there will be a modification made to next year's qualifying sessions. Next year there will be 2 sessions that will take place. First session will be all of the non-charter drivers. They will go out for a session to determine who will lock themselves into the field, who will not. And then the second session will be just a simple 1 round to run for the pole position. It will involve the charter cars and of course the non-charter drivers that make their way in via the first session. There will be no Fast 10 next year. So it will be a very congested racetrack for drivers to try and qualify for the inside and the outside of the front row. Saw RJ Bishop there on pit road. There's his teammate Dylan Young. Young Motorsports may have a slightly different look next year. At this point in time, no word on Destin Bolin returning, and also Will Goss is currently not up for another season in the 11, so there may end up being 2 new faces in Young Motorsports entries starting next year. Be interesting to see who they will be. Have to see if it's going to be drivers we've never heard of, drivers maybe returning, or drivers that may be moving up from the Duracell Ultra Light series. We already know one driver for sure is going to be moving up from that series, depending on who ends up winning the championship. But you got to think that you look at some of these other drivers and what they've been able to do down there, like David Dixon and Austin Reed, Virgil Alonso, Madeline Crenshaw, Benjamin Snyder. You got to think that those drivers are turning heads in what they've been able to do down in the lower series and may end up garnering a Duracell Cup Series ride for season 8. I'm sorry, for season 7 rather. No, it is season 8. I don't know why I was getting my numbers mixed up there. Cole Deaver there in the 3 car, pulling up to the back bumper of Anthony McCurry. Cole just ran his fastest lap, 38.352. Whoa, okay, there's a little idea of how you can maybe make a pass on somebody tomorrow afternoon. I feel like off of turn 1 is going to be the biggest trouble spot for these drivers because it's the area where you want to carry the most speed. This racetrack, 1.37 miles in length. There is progressive banking of 17 to 22 degrees down here in turn 1. You may not believe it, but about the upper, mid to upper grooves is where you actually want to run. The car settles better there. It doesn't get as tail happy loose off the corner when you run low. Turn 2 over here. You'd liken it to the tunnel turn, I guess, at Pocono. Has the least amount of banking, 8 degrees. And then down into the final corner, it is 12 degrees of banking before you head down here to the start-finish line, which is all the way right there, just about nearly to the entrance of turn 1. So a long straightaway that could make things very interesting in regards to a driver making a move, getting a run, and being able to utilize the side draft before they get back to the checkered flag. Could be the difference between a victory and second. As we look at Levi McIntyre, McIntyre announcing he's returning next year. Single car entry out of Shadow Cult Racing. Potential new sponsorship might be up in the air here for this 99 though. We'll have to wait and see about those announcements. Right now he's 7th on the board. He was just behind Will Goss for the final transfer spot, but Austin LaPlante has jumped up to 6th, right between Goss and McIntyre. So LaPlante in the 48, even though it looks like he's not going to advance into the Fast 5, he at least knows he's going to roll off from 11th place tomorrow afternoon. Needs points, so track position could be important. As Michael Norman, the Pizza Hut Ford Mustang, looking for his 2nd win on the season off the heels of Chatham Dirt. With zeros on the clock, he's going to be the fastest here of Group A in round 1. He'll be moving on to run for the pole position along with Mitchell Collins, Reese Banks, and Will Goss out of the Ford camp. The only non-blue oval going to be the Toyota of Ryan Brommer, who clocks in 4th fastest. Michael already with a pole this season, so he'll look to join a number of other drivers as a repeat pole sitter like Daniel Voiles and Laura Chung, Charles Sanford, Rob Evans, and Ryan Butcher. We'll have a couple of our playoff contenders in the upcoming 2nd group, including Butcher and Breton, as session is complete. I believe Jessica Shelton also is going to be in that 2nd group. As here's a look at how they qualified here for Group A in round 1. Your top 5 move on to run for the pole. The rest of your drivers will, for the most part, make up the inside line of each respective row. It does get a little bit more unorganized when you get down further at the bottom of the list. Of course, it all based off of who ends up qualifying into the non-charter cars in the upcoming 2nd group. But how about that lap time? 37.787 there from Michael Norman, the only driver to hit a sub 38. We'll see if he can continue that speed into the Fast 10, which will be coming up after this 2nd group of drivers head out for their 15 minutes, and that'll be taking place right after this quick race break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching qualifying from Hanford Speedway on NNSCRA TV. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. 15 minutes on the clock. Group B drivers get ready to head out onto the racetrack here, including a number of non-charter contenders. We're going to see maybe more non-charter contenders here at a speedway today than we've seen in the past. We ended up seeing a number of them for Daytona, we saw a number of them for Darlington, and we saw a number of them for Charlotte. But we haven't really seen like a whole bunch of them outside of those particular racetracks. Granted, those were all crown jewel races as well, so everybody wants to be a part of those festivities, but we have not really seen it when you go to any other type of racetrack. The reason why we're going to be seeing a few more here today than normal is because, as I stated, we had to swap out Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for this racetrack due to some issues that took place, and those drivers that were slated for Canadian Tire Motorsports Park just figured they'd make the trip here and attempt to qualify, since they were already going to attempt to qualify this weekend, not knowing that the venue was going to change. So we'll see those drivers here in just a few moments. As we know, only 2 non-charter drivers are going to be able to make their way into the field. And we'll have to wait and see who they are going to be, as Carson Gum heading out in the number 19 out of Fortnite Squad Racing. Final year that Fortnite Squad Racing will have the Chevrolet manufacturer. They're moving over to the 2024 Toyota Camry XSE for Season 8. At least for Dylan Poteen and Carson Gum. Carson maybe hoping that's going to get him a better performance in Season 8 than he's had here in Season 7. It hasn't been horrible for Carson Gum, but it hasn't been all that great either. 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, and he's 24th in overall points, failed to make the playoffs. You're looking at Mike Tellier in the number 17 out of Bishop Family Racing. Mike Tellier looking to make his 3rd start on the season. Of course, made the Daytona 500. Ran really well in that race. Looks like he's coming to pit road, though, after we just saw him slap the wall off of turn 1. Right now, Mike is 2nd on the board, but not many have taken time at this point. We're looking at one of the 3 playoff contenders that are here in Group B, that being Ryan Butcher. Ryan comes into this 3rd in points, 3 points out of the points lead, and 15 points ahead of the 8th in the standings cut line. Is this potentially Ryan Butcher's last season in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition? There's been no word on whether he is returning back to his seat at Auto Junction Racing. His other teammates, Laura Chung and Ryan Brommer, they have announced that they are returning to the organization, but nothing yet out of Ryan Butcher. It's interesting because I look at 3 drivers at this point in time of recording that have not announced they are returning to the series. Ryan Butcher, Jesse Turner, and Jose Mills. These are 3 drivers that took the very first green flag back in Season 1 of Duracell Next Gen. They've been in every season since, and we may be losing 3 patriarchs of the series. Jessica Shelton, Project Dodge Intrepid out of S3 Motorsports. Just crossed the line with a 38.834, 12th on the board right now for her. Jess comes into this race 6th in overall points, only 18 points of the good above the cut line. Shelton looking for her 3rd win on the season. It's been very interesting to see these different manufacturers make their way into the series and find success right out of the gate. You go back to last year with Nick Gunther bringing Mazda into Duracell Cup Series competition. There's Gunther right there, right side of your screen, and went to victory lane a total of 4 times. Won the regular season championship. Shelton this year comes in with the Project Dodge. All the rest of her teammates running Chevrolets out of S3 Motorsports, the organization that has won the championship the last 2 seasons. And Shelton, the only one that has advanced into the playoffs, the only one that's got an opportunity to give S3 Motorsports 3 championships in a row. Zach Rogers coming down pit road here behind Gunther and Shelton. He may have also gotten the wall there. I think a lot more drivers are having difficulty with that here in this 2nd group. Zach Rogers, the cut line driver, coming into this race. 8th in points. Now remember, this is not an elimination race. This is the middle race of the round of 12. So it is not a must-win situation, really, for Rogers or any of the drivers that come into this either just barely above or just below the cut line. But this is the race where you want to build that cushion, so that way you have some breathing space when we get to Arizona Speedway next week. Talked about Jose Mills potentially not returning to Duracell Cup Series competition next year. But he is fastest in this session at a 38.122. Looking to move on to the final round of qualifying to run for the pole position. Still looking for that first win on the year, the most winless driver in the Duracell Cup Series, but he has been on a season-plus winless streak. He didn't find victory lane last year either. And if he does not return next year, whoever ends up taking over that 38 is going to have some big shoes to fill. We know that the other two cars are going to be filled next season. Caleb Fogler returning back to the 28. Zachary Fitzwater making the jump over to the 83. Quentin Moore in the 89 out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Right now he is on the hot seat. Fifth fastest at a 38.311. And as soon as I say that, he just got dropped to sixth. To wait for scoring to tell us who it was that leapfrogged him there. There's the final playoff contender that's here in this group, that being the three-time winner, Connor Breton. Connor coming into this race fourth in the playoff standings, only 7 points out of the points lead and only 11 points to the good above the cut line. Kyle Matthews was the one that leapfrogged Quentin Moore out of the Fast Five, and that's because Kyle Matthews went to the top of the board at a 38.109. Daniel Boyles there in the 26. Right now 11th on the board for him. Boyles 39th in points, only 3 top 5s, and that's his only top 10s on the year as well. Looking to close out the season's best he can. Charles Sanford, the defending champion, not able to defend his crown, did not advance to the playoffs this year. Just ran 8th, 38.224. Charles Sanford is the 4th highest driver in the point standings right now that's not in the playoffs, behind Jose Mills, Levi McIntyre, and Michael Norman. There's Zach Rogers now back out on the track. He's 18th fastest currently. That's 18th out of 21 drivers. Right there, I believe, as I double check, are the 2 drivers in line to move on to tomorrow's race of the non-charter competitors. Mike Tellier currently sits 7th at a 38.217. That is the fastest of the non-charter drivers right now. Reggie Fogelman currently sits 11th at a 38.364. So those two are right now in line to move on to tomorrow afternoon's event. See if we can find the other 2 drivers here. There's one of them, Kyler Sustre. Right now is 19th on the board at a 38.614. And the other one is right there. The Race Gear Merch Chevrolet, Benjamin Snyder, looking for his 3rd start in the season, but he sits currently at 15th at a 38.463 in his Dodge Challenger. Benjamin Snyder right now is a total of just about a 10th slower than Reggie Fogelman's lap. Kyler Sustre sits about 2.5 tenths slower. And both Snyder and Sustre find themselves on the track there together. There's last week's winner. Second win of his career for Joshua Osborne. Osborne got his first career win, of course, last year at Pocono. That locked him into the playoffs. This season, though, it's been quite a struggle. But he managed to break into victory lane at Hillside. Gained 4 spots in the standings because of that. He's now up to 29th in points. And looking to build off of that as he's just outside the Fast 5 is Osborne. 38.159 has him P6, just behind Daniel Voiles. Right now, Kyle Matthews at the top of the board, 38.109. Jose Mills is second. Matt McIntyre currently in third. There he is, right behind Charles Sanford. Then Matt Haas and Daniel Voiles currently hold the 5 transfer spots to move on and run for the pole position. Nobody here in this session yet has been able to hit a lap time in the 37-second bracket. Nick Gunther and Laura Chung both coming to pit road. A couple of purple cars. There's the fastest car here in Group B. Kyle Matthews, who is still running some very fast lap times. His fastest lap was a 1:09. He just ran a 1:38. That time by he ran a 2:32, so starting to have the tires fall off a bit there. But interestingly enough, it doesn't look like any of our 3 playoff contenders from this group, well actually I think it's 4 playoff contenders from this group, it doesn't look like any of them are in line to move on to run for the pole, so they won't have the benefit of super good starting track position. The highest running of the playoff drivers right now would be Zach Rogers. He's 9th on the board. Ryan Butcher is 12th, Jessica Schulten is 14th, and Connor Breton is 20th. Nick Gunther's been having a lot of problems here in this session. They send him out there, and he seems to be really getting tight off of turn 1, hitting the wall, and keeps having to bring it back to pit road. Because of that, he hasn't been able to get in a good, clean lap, and he's only put in a lap time of about 44.5. Where Connor Breton, who is the next slowest, is at a 38.6. Hopefully they get that issue fixed with Gunther. There's Zachary Fitzwater in his last few rides here with Evans Motorsports, which will be closing up at the end of the season. Fitzwater could be making the jump from Chevrolet over to Ford with Blue Oval Automotive, taking over the number 83 for, it appears, retiring Chris Dollerton. 17th on the board right now for driver 66. Fitzwater, former winner on the season, though he did not advance into the playoffs. 28th in overall points coming in this one. Nothing's changed for the 17 or the 80. Tellier and Fogelman, both in line to advance into tomorrow afternoon's race. Mike Tellier will be making his 3rd start in the season. Reggie Fogelman would be making his 31st, but would be making his... what would it be? His 6th, I believe, as a non-charter driver? Yeah. He ran the regular season finale as a non-charter entry and has been with this non-charter Haas Racing number 80 car since then. Has managed to qualify into every single race on time, though. Getting himself in preparation for when he'll make the full-time jump over to Haas Racing in the number 5 next year in the new 2024 Toyota Camry. That team's still hunting for a charter to secure that he will be able to make every start next season. Daniel Voiles right now 5th on the board with zeros on the clock. Looks like he will be the last transferee into the Fast 10 to run for the pole. Boyle's already a two-time pole sitter on the season. It looks like he will be joined by Matt Haas, Matt McIntyre, Jose Mills, and Kyle Matthews will be the fastest here in Group B of this first round. Session complete. Here's a look at the way that they qualified. Fast 5 move on to run for the pole. Mike Tellier and Reggie Fogelman, 7th and 11th, will be the two non-charter drivers that will transfer in. That means the DNQs will be Benjamin Snyder and Kyler Sustre. And it looks like, at least from this group, Zach Rogers will be the highest starter, as he'll be rolling off from the 20th position. Well, let's see who ends up getting the pole position for tomorrow's debuting race here from Hanford Speedway. Kyle Matthews, the fastest in Group B. Michael Norman, the fastest in Group A. 8 other drivers would like to top them on the speed charts in the upcoming 5-minute final session. That takes place right after our final NNSCRA race break. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. 5 minutes on the clock, and we are set to find out who's going to capture the first ever pole in the first ever race here at Hanford Speedway for the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. How important will it be to get that pole position or to get the outside of the front row? How important will good starting track position be? We don't know. We've never been here before. This is a brand new deal for us, and so we're going to be compiling the notebook here this season in preparation for if this track returns in Season 8. So we're going to get to kind of see it firsthand. These drivers are going to learn it firsthand, as they're already got some of them out there on the racetrack getting set to try and put down that lap time that's going to capture them the pole position tomorrow afternoon. Will Goss, Matt Haas already out there. There you see Banks and Matt McIntyre leaving pit road. Reese Banks, he's looking for his second pole on the season. Will Goss is also looking for his second. Michael Norman looking for his second. Jose Mills looking for his second. Collins is looking for his second. Ryan Brommer is looking for his second. Matt Haas is looking for his first. Matt McIntyre is looking for his first. Daniel Voiles is looking for his third. And Kyle Matthews is looking for his first pole of Season 7. Matt Haas is at the top of the board currently. 38.825. We'll see if he's able to stay up there trying to become a different pole sitter on the year. We no longer have the whole different pole sitter every week streak going on. That got broken a long time ago. And we've since had about half dozen drivers go to victory lane, or to get the pole position, I should say, multiple times this season. Matt Haas just got toppled. He had a 38.696 that was top of the board. Somebody got him, and it was Matt McIntyre at a 38.641. Matt McIntyre looking for his first win on the season. It's been a long win this spell for him. And he's coming to pit road. Does he feel that's enough to get the pole? A couple of drivers got close. Jose Mills just ran a 38.687. That's about 400ths off of Matt McIntyre's lap time. Let's see with a little draft here off of Michael Norman, if he can improve on that. Yes, he does. 38.404. Page not found for Jose Mills. That puts him to the top of the board. Mills looking for his second pole on the season, right behind Michael Norman, who was the only driver to hit the sub-38 second lap times back in Group A of Round 1. Right now, though, he is 9th on the board at a 44.947. I believe he just got up to speed. Let's see what his first official lap time is going to be with about a minute left in the session. 38.303, top of the board for the Pizza Hut Ford. No longer. Up. Mills got him barely to get the pole position back. We had to wait for Scory to update. It was Norman at the top of the board, and then immediately after, Jose Mills takes it back. A 303 for Norman, a 214 for Jose Mills. And Norman might be getting a little bit of a toe off of his teammate there, Mitchell Collins, who sits 5th on the board at a 38.689. Let's see if that helps Michael Norman. Now, Michael did brush the wall a little bit off of turn 1, so I'd be a little concerned if this lap time will improve or not. Let's see. It did not. No improvement. But there was an improvement for Jose Mills. He goes from a 214 to a 174. And continues to pull away from his nearest competitors for the fastest lap time here in the final session. I think this is going to be the make it or break it lap. And I think right here is where you're looking for potential pole sitter. Mills has it. Norman's got to make something happen right here. He's going to get a nice push from Mills. Going to get a nice toe off of Collins. It's got to be the 174. Can he do it? No, he cannot. No improvement for Norman. No improvement for Mills. I guess the tires wore down enough. Reese Banks right now, 9th fastest. The only one of the playoff contenders that managed to advance here into the Fast 10. I think he was hoping for a little more than that. As he's currently slated to start on the inside of row 5. Daniel Boyles just ran his fastest lap, but he's all by himself. Currently 8th. Matt McIntyre got relegated down to 4th after the back and forth going on between Michael Norman and Jose Mills. Ryan Brommer, looks like he's been having some struggles here. He's 10th, the slowest of the drivers. So who was 3rd? 3rd was Kyle Matthews, who was the fastest in Group B. Looks like we may have, I was going to say, it looked like the scoring may have ceased. And it will be an all-Ford front row for tomorrow's race here from Hanford. Jose Mills clocking in at a 38.174 to capture his second pole position of Season 7. Michael Norman and Kyle Matthews, who were at the top of their respective speed charts of their respective groups back in Round 1, they followed that up here as they will be 2nd and 3rd. Matt McIntyre will be 4th. Mitchell Collins, Matt Haas in row 3 with Will Goss, Daniel Voiles row 4, and then Reese Banks, the only playoff driver that advanced into the Fast 10, will join Ryan Brommer on the 5th and final row in the top 10. So it looks like only one driver in the top 10. I think we only have 2 playoff contenders starting in the top 15. LaPlante, we know, qualified just outside of the Fast 5 in that first group. So there's going to be a lot of our playoff drivers that will be peppered through the mid to rear of the field. Will be interesting to see how that plays out tomorrow afternoon. Cannot wait to see what this race brings to the table. Brand new racetrack. Should be interesting. Hope you guys will join us as we will bring you coverage of that tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just the Cup drivers this week. Lights drivers will be back pretty soon. I think we got a couple more races before we end up having another doubleheader, because they are only about 2 races away from crowning their champion, and we've still got, including tomorrow afternoon, we still have a total of 6 playoff races yet to run. But if you enjoyed this qualifying session today, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, part of the crew today, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast of NNSCRA TV Offline Racing at its best.